The most expensive Olympics ever have begun in the Black Sea resort town of Sochi, an event designed to showcase Russia as a strong and resilient economy on the world stage, not only hosting an international competition, but transforming the small seaside town into a tourist destination. But many in the international community are wondering why these Olympic Games were so expensive in the first place. The Sochi Olympics will be the most expensive ever, by almost $38 billion. Almost $40 billion more than they were estimated to cost. Yet construction continues on many projects even after the Games have begun. Why, despite the high cost, was the building not finished in time for the Games? Some have speculated that corruption played a large part. Others say cost estimates were far too low to be realistic.
The initial price was 1.2 billion. Now it's 8 billion.
1.2 billion has turned into 8 billion?
Yes.
Well done. Good work. Let's move on.
And some say that Sochi was a bad choice in the first place, being located in a warm subtropical climate. Given all these issues, why was Sochi chosen to begin with?
The choice of Sochi is the best choice.
Sochi, a coastal resort town, lies on the northwest corner of the Black Sea, but the Olympics themselves were actually held in a town called Adler, 50 miles to the south. A curious choice, as it lies less than 2 miles from the border with Georgia. This area has been unstable since the Cold War and was disputed following the breakup of the Soviet Union. It continues to be volatile to this day, having been the center of a conflict in 2008, and remains a target for terrorist attacks, one of which occurred just a month before the Olympics. But Sochi's history is full of interesting stories. During the Cold War, it was a favored escape of Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin, who had a beach house in the town. Rumors persist of strange happenings occurring in Adler for much of its history. Nicolae Tolkovich's grandfather lived there in the 1970s. Your grandfather used to live in Adler, correct? Yes, he used to live there until about the 1970s. And what happened in 1975? My grandfather was building an extension to our house in the back. While digging, he came across a few barrels. He wasn't sure what they were, and he called the police to come check. They came out and looked at them, took a few, and left. A few days later, the army came and told us that we had to leave. They didn't give us any explanation. Did you ever find out what was in the barrels? No, we never found out. It was some kind of chemicals, but we don't know what kind. And since then, no one has gone there? No, they moved all the families out. It was empty. Up until about 2006. In 2006, a series of discoveries was made throughout the former Soviet Union of chemical weapons and other toxic waste left over from the Cold War. These discoveries prompted public outrage, and the government was forced to hastily clean up these relics of a secretive military past. Russia also began an investigation to quietly find other toxic sites before they became public knowledge. Shortly thereafter, military presence in Sochi increased overnight. Workers, wearing protective clothing and masks, began to dig a series of holes. They appeared to be removing barrels of dirt from the site. This went on for several months, but nobody in the town was told what was happening. Locals who got too close were chased off by armed soldiers. This activity went on around the clock until June of 2007, when workers suddenly left the site. The area was empty, but remained guarded 24 hours a day. And all of this occurred just months before Sochi was awarded the 2014 Olympics.
Olympic Winter Games in 2014 are awarded to the city of Sochi.
After Sochi was awarded the Games, many expected construction to begin immediately. The small town of Adler, where the Games were to be held, has a population of only 70,000, and lacked much of the infrastructure needed for such a large event. However, the construction didn't start for more than 2 years. In that time, the Olympic site remained barren, with only occasional small excavations visible, still performed by men in protective clothing. As construction eventually got underway in 2009, the large companies contracted for work avoided hiring locals to work on the projects. Instead, they brought in migrant workers from other countries, such as Czechoslovakia, Turkey, and Uzbekistan. These workers had high rates of turnover, with many of them staying an average of only 3 or 4 months. Many workers came and left without ever knowing the specifics of the projects they had worked on. The initial stages of construction dragged on for years, as massive, often incongruous structures were constructed, many of them partially or completely underground. The purpose of many of these structures, such as this, seen at the landing area of the ski jump, remains unclear. Some have speculated that they were constructed as a cover to excavate certain areas of the site. Other buildings, not on any original plans for the site, have appeared in the Olympic Park over the years. Large and nondescript, these structures are heavily guarded, and their purpose remains a mystery. Work continued through the winters thanks to a lack of snow. In fact, there was a definite shortage of snow on the sites. Despite Putin's claim that snow would be plentiful, very little was to be found around the Olympic venues. This was most pronounced in the areas of the excavations. Construction workers observed that if snow touched excavated dirt on the site, it melted right away, even when temperatures were well below freezing. While some speculated that this was due to a temperature of the ground and its proximity to the ocean, others observed that the dirt had a pungent vinegar-like smell and claimed that a chemical was responsible. It is impossible to say for certain what secrets the Olympic Games are hiding. The process has been shrouded in mystery from the beginning, and the mystery has only deepened with time. Whatever the secrets, it is unlikely that we'll ever know the full truth, especially now that the Games have begun. But one thing is certain, there is more to Sochi than meets the eye.